So I wanted to make a video about Hunter Avallone because I feel that his transition, not he's not transgender, but not yet anyway. But I'm talking about his political ideology transition. His transition in his political views and the way that he sees the world, as expressed through his content, has been the saddest downfall, probably of any internet e-celebrity that was relatively popular in the right-wing scene since 2015. Because most of the people that got popular because of Trump and stuff like that basically stayed exactly the same in terms of their political views. Like if you were a normie-con, you stayed a normie-con, libertarians stayed libertarians, even Wignats like Mike Enoch has been saying the same exact stuff for like the last 7 years. And then you had like some people that, like Miley Yiannopoulos and what's her name, Caitlyn Bennett or something, the girl from Liberty Hangout. She basically had the same transition that I had, which is going from like a libertarian to a radical Catholic extremist, which is a great transition. But Hunter, on the other hand, instead of staying the same, like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Stefan Molyneux, all these other e-celebrities that were popular in like 2015, 2016, instead of staying the same like that, he went the complete opposite way and has basically become the exact opposite of everything that he once was. So if you don't know who Hunter Avallone is, he was a like anti-SJW, like conservative YouTube video maker that got popular in like 2015, 2016. He was making videos dunking on like trannies and liberals and stuff like that. Very normie con, boomer tier type stuff or whatever, but he was a self-proclaimed conservative. And then he started having more and more increasingly unpopular views among right-wing people. I think the first real big thing that he did was he went to this conference or something and gave this horrible speech about how big tech censorship isn't real. And this was like right after he got banned from YouTube or something. And then I guess he got his girlfriend pregnant or something, and people said that when he got with his girlfriend that he started getting more and more left leaning. And then I guess he hooked up with Vosh and started talking to him. Vosh is obviously the pedophile sympathizer who advocates for the legalization of child porn and is a literal federal informant. And then apparently after Hunter talked to him, he's now like this super leftist type person who is trying to increase his debate skills and point out homophobia and racism and all this gay stuff that he talks about now. And he's basically become kind of like a punching bag of the right-wing online atmosphere, right? Like he's such low-hanging fruit. So what I want to do is I'm going to watch one of his videos and give a sincere analysis and critique of it. I'm going to try my hardest not to give any personal insults on his physical appearance or character or anything like that, because that's what everybody does. Everybody just bullies him, which can be funny, but I'm going to try not to do that too much. But I'm going to try to actually point out his flaws in the way that he thinks, which shouldn't be too hard to do. Sick graphics.
Let's talk about Small Dick Fuentes. Everybody loves the guy.
Off to a awesome start. Hunter Avallone coming in hot. See, if you didn't catch that, what he just did there was a linguistic kill shot. So he's talking about Nick Fuentes in this video, and he referred to him as Small Dick Fuentes. And I'll explain to you why that's so clever. Because dick, which is a slang term for male genitalia, usually used by Ebonics speakers, that rhymes with Nick. So he's replacing Nick out of Nick Fuentes and using dick and then using the adjective small. So he's insulting his manhood while using wordplay to rhyme it with his name. I don't know. I don't know how Nick's going to recover from that. I'm curious to see what his response would be from that. But I guess I'll try and give some context to why he's making this video. I don't really know the whole entire story, but basically when Hunter was a conservative, Nick was always wanting to debate him because he felt that obviously Hunter Avallone wasn't a real conservative. He was more of a libertarian type person or whatever. And they were supposed to debate. They had all these debates scheduled and set up, and Hunter Avallone kept like ditching it and never showing up, and something would always come up, and it was like he was afraid to debate Nick Fuentes. And then when Hunter Avallone became this leftist, Nick was still saying let's debate or whatever. And then I remember one time Hunter was like on Twitter, he was like, okay, how about this? I'll debate on a team with me and Vosh, and I'll verse you and John Doyle. And Nick Fuentes was like, why don't you just debate me? I'm not doing a double debate with you. Let's just debate. So basically, Hunter Avallone has this idea that he's going to make all of the rules and situations and he's only going to debate on his terms. And it really seems that he believes that he is still at the same level that he was a couple of years ago in popularity, which he's not. If you don't know, ever since he's turned leftist or whatever, he's been hemorrhaging subscribers. He went from like 600 and something thousand subscribers and lost over 100,000 subscribers. And he's still making these videos or whatever, and most of his videos are only getting like what, 20,000 views. Yeah, look at that. So 568,000 subscribers. Today's video got 2.4 thousand. Yesterday got 6.2 thousand. Yeah, he barely is breaking 10,000 views. This one got 15,000. That's really, really bad. That's like 5% of his subscribers are watching his videos. And his whole channel is probably just reaction worthy. But yeah, it's pretty sad. But anyway, he won't debate Nick, and they basically been like going back and forth with each other, talking crap about each other. And so somebody made this video of the Nick Fuentes iceberg, like the iceberg meme or whatever. So Nick Fuentes did a stream reacting to that, and then Hunter Avallone also did a stream reacting to that, and then Nick Fuentes did a stream reacting to Hunter reacting to that. So then, after Nick Fuentes watched his video on his stream, he went on Telegram and started talking all this crap about how he would embarrass Hunter Avallone in a debate and how his wife would be turned on or something like that. But so that's why Hunter is making this video. That's the context. Hunter is making this video because Nick Fuentes was trolling him on his Telegram.
Famous for his hilarious comedic bits about how the Holocaust was fake. Famous for his incredibly based in red pill positions like
Hold on. What was that?
Based in red pill positions like
One more time.
Based in red pill.
Positions like all brown people bad because they're going to steal Nick Fuentes' anime white crush. Like,
I mean, he's trying to be funny and hyperbolic, I guess, but that's just completely obviously disingenuous. I don't think, I'm not even sure that America First has a policy on anime like officially declared. But this is just I'm trying really hard not to just mock his physical appearance, but come on, like the shirt is fine, but once you get like right around here, it's just a nightmare. This is like, I know you can't do much about your physiognomy, but like, what's up with the hair, man? I don't know, and the glasses, and like, this is what I'll say about his physical appearance, because it can't be missed. You know, he is the prime example, and I think I've mentioned this before, where physiognomy has a direct correlation somehow with your political ideology and worldview, because as you become more and more left-wing and more satanic, basically, it obviously corrupts your soul, and that has an outward effect, and you can just see your physical features, your physiognomy just start deteriorating. So this is what Hunter Avallone looks like now, and this is what he looked like 2 years ago. 2 years ago. That is an insane transition. Maybe it was a little more than 2 years ago. I don't know. But and it's not just weight gain or age or anything. Obviously, there is something seriously wrong here, something seriously satanic going on. Look, he had a defined jawline. His face was not sagging off his skin. And now you look at him right here. He looks like a melted candle. I don't know what is going on. It's pretty devastating. Same thing with Vosh. Vosh had this picture out from like I don't even know, from maybe 4 or 5 years ago or something, where he looked relatively normal. And now he's just devastatingly disgusting. And I really do believe that there is some type of correlation between your physiognomy and your political ideology and worldview.
So with the alt-right, incel freak, Nick Fuentes, hating on me constantly, I know I'm doing something right. This guy is akin to a Nazi. He talks all the time about the Jewish question, about Jews disproportionately controlling banks and whatnot. He's a huge piece of shit.
I still have a YouTube channel, so not gonna. Let's just keep watching.
So if he hates me, well, that probably means I'm doing something right. So recently he went on this massive spurg out on Telegram. The dude just fucking melted down. Hunter Avallone would be so humiliated and emasculated by me in a debate that he would question his worth as a human male, which I'm sure he does often, such as when he looks at his wife's baby mama's ugly face.
So Hunter has already lost just by responding to this. Nick Fuentes is obviously doing this to troll him, to provoke a reaction from him, and the fact that he is answering him at all and making a 30-minute video in response to this obvious trolling post that Nick posted on Telegram is just an L automatically. Like, he should have just not even acknowledged it whatsoever. That would be the best case scenario, the best thing that he could do. But instead, he's making this reaction video that is clearly trying to come off as like, oh, I don't even care about this at all. But you can see, just look at his face right there. Like, look at his face. You could tell that he is like internally seething, and that this is actually like getting to him. And that is like one of the worst things that you can do on the internet, is let anybody know that they're bothering you. Like, that just gives people more fuel. Like, this is like just internet 101 over here. Like, you should, if somebody is trolling you, you should either troll them back or not respond. If you're going to make a sincere reaction video and respond to them and act like you're not mad when it's clearly obvious that you are mad, then that's just a loss.
And then he says, Hunter's wife would be watching, and though she will never admit it, would be embarrassed by him, and wishing he was as assertive and intelligent as I am, because I am more successful and smarter than he is, and also, I have a stronger brow ridge and jawline.
Brow ridge, bro.
Brow ridge? Does he mean his forehead's...
Do you not know what a brow
I mean,
ridge
he
is?
does... He definitely looks more like a Lego figure than I do. So there's some credit maybe there. I'm going to go ahead and guess again.
All right. I mean, if somebody is calling you ugly and you're responding to them calling you ugly, you should probably be less ugly, and not even less ugly, at least more well-groomed, bro. What is this line of hair just hanging over your forehead? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just like, you're not coming off good here, even from an unbiased perspective, just from an objective viewpoint, from somebody watching this who has no idea who either of you are. It looks like somebody is trolling you, and you're getting overly defensive and like getting really upset, and now you're talking about looks. Meanwhile, you look like a homeless melted candle.
Again, not a psychologist or anything, but I'm going to go ahead and guess he probably typed this one out, because this was a little while later. So he probably typed it over here, started jerking off, and then was thinking about like, oh, Hunter's ugly wife would just love me. Ugh, but she's ugly. Ugh.
This is a phenomenon among left-wing people and just, I guess, immature people in general, where they hypersexualize everything and have to relate everything back to some type of sexual act. And I think they use that as a facade or a replacement for making any type of clever humor or whatever. You just have to revert to baseline sexual deviancy. But once again, Nick put out 3 short Telegram posts. Hunter made a 30-minute reaction video to it, and 4 minutes in, he's already simulating Nick Fuentes masturbating. It's not a good look.
So, obviously, upon reading this, I'll give my initial reaction. My child woke me up in the middle of the night, because keep in mind, I'm living the trad life, while Nick is living the mad life.
I'll dissect that more later, because I'm pretty sure he brings that up again. I watched a few minutes of this before, but no, that situation is the opposite of trad.
But
he feels the need that he has to constantly bring up his child, like as if his child is political capital or something like that, and which is a little bit weird. It's one thing to be proud of your child or whatever, but you're bringing your child up to try to, I don't know, use that as like a pawn to prove a point that has nothing to do with your child. Like, it would be different if like he was talking about something in relation to his accomplishments or something, and like his child was something that he was very proud of. But to just bring up his child and insert it into a reply about something that has nothing to do with his child whatsoever, and it's clearly obvious that he's using it to be like, because I have a kid and you don't, when that wasn't even what the topic of conversation was about at all. It's just, that's a little bizarre.
My child woke me up, and I saw this, and upon first reading this middle message here, my heart skipped a beat. I got a little scared. I got a little insecure. I rolled over and shook my wife awake. And she said, "What, Hunter? I was trying to fucking sleep." And I said, "Are you gonna leave me for this guy who's a total incel, has never been in a relationship, and literally doesn't think you should have the right to vote?"
Based.
And then she said, "No, go back to sleep." Massive sigh of relief.
All right, so he's obviously joking, but in this fake story that he's trying to jokingly say, even in this fantasy that didn't happen, he still gets emasculated by his wife. He still needs to ask his wife for validation, and and she is still bossing him around in a situation that clearly didn't even happen. So he can't even picture himself hypothetically in a situation where he is the man in his relationship. That says way more about him than anything else. That he came up with this whole idea, like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say this hypothetical situation to dunk on Nick Fuentes, and I'm gonna roll over to my wife and say, "Look what this guy is saying about you. You're never gonna leave me, right? No, now go back to sleep." So his wife is still yelling at him and telling him what to do, and in your fantasy, your wife thinks you're pathetic. Like, I don't know. That's just all right.
Okay, so you say if you were way dumber, your life would look like mine. Buddy, you're banned off of every fucking platform. You have barely any connections left. You're hated by virtually the entire world because everyone knows you for being that neo-Nazi scumfuck.
I mean, that's just objectively not true. He's banned from every platform because of his political opinions. He's literally become a political prisoner and the most censored person in America. He's on a no-fly list. His bank accounts have been frozen. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. But to equate that with him being dumber because he's been banned off of every platform, and then calling him irrelevant when he's done nothing but gain popularity since he's been banned from everything, and he's having another AFPAC thing, and he's just been able to get thousands of people to come out to all different states for rallies, and he just hit 10,000 live viewers on Cozy TV, his own self-made platform, when Hunter streams on YouTube and he averages like 120 viewers. I mean, it's just not true. It's just very disingenuous, and I don't know. He just lacks self-awareness, or he's just purposely being false.
You're running on a single brain cell. Like, at least Richard Spencer is smart enough to know, hey, yeah, I'm a huge Nazi and I believe in the JQ, but I'm not going to talk about that super heavily on my...
This is just really, really silly. And what did he? Oh, yeah, I believe in the JQ. I guarantee you, Hunter Avallone has no idea what the JQ even means. Most people don't. Most people attribute the JQ, that just means that you think that Jews have this supernatural power and that they control everything and all this stuff. That's not what JQ means. The JQ stands for Jewish Question, which originated in the 19th and 20th century. Which was a debate over what is the proper place in society for Jews, because obviously after the Enlightenment, Jews became regular members of society because they were technically outcasts throughout all like the Middle Ages and stuff, because they wouldn't assimilate with their Christian peers in whatever country that they were residing in. So then this debate came about what is the proper treatment and what is their proper place in society. And actually the person who made the Jewish question, the term Jewish question, popular was Theodor Herzl, in talking about forming a Jewish state, which would eventually become Israel. And he said that the solution to the Jewish question would be to have a ethnic Jewish nation, which obviously would end up becoming Israel in 1948. But so it's like it's a real thing in history, but obviously they want to use like this abstract thing, like you believe in the JQ. It doesn't, that sentence doesn't even make sense. And he's comparing Richard Spencer to Nick Fuentes. Richard Spencer is most likely fed, closeted homosexual, whatever, that's not the point. But he's comparing Richard Spencer to Nick Fuentes. Richard Spencer hasn't been relevant in like 2 years. What is Richard Spencer doing now? Isn't he like still on trial with Mike Enoch for like the Charlottesville nonsense or whatever? And he's saying, oh, well, Richard Spencer was smart enough to believe in the JQ, but never talk about the JQ. It's like, it doesn't register in like comparing that to intelligence and then saying that Richard Spencer was smarter and now you're irrelevant because you're banned. Meanwhile, Nick Fuentes is 1,000 times more relevant right now than Richard Spencer is. And what you're basically saying is that you should just toe the line. You should never talk about anything controversial, or else you're going to get banned. And if you get banned, you're stupid. But not like me. Everything I say is completely endorsed by Google and every mega corporation in America. So I'm smart because nothing I say is edgy or controversial. It is completely in line with what the American regime wants me to say, and therefore that makes me smarter and more talented and more relevant than you. Even though I get 1/1000th of the amount of views and viewers you get, even though I'm on a mainstream platform and you are on your own self-funded streaming platform. And like I said, I'm trying to be charitable. I feel like I'm failing miserably, but I'm not trying to just be overly mean. It's just he's not looking good. He's not being genuine, and he's just projecting. And literally the definition of coping and seething right now because he made this video at all in the first place.
Second of all, kid out of wedlock. I'm married now and I have 2 children. And I'm married to the woman who had my children. This is literally so...
But you weren't married when you had the kids. When you got her pregnant, you weren't married. Right? You were living together, which you were cohabitating, which is a mortal sin. And then you got her pregnant, which means you had premarital sex, which is a mortal sin. And then once she got pregnant unexpectedly, you got married, but probably not in the Catholic Church. So I'm guessing only civilly or in a Protestant church, which means that you're not really married. So you're still technically cohabitating and having premarital sex. And you also have a child out of wedlock. And so none of that is good.
He's gatekeeping marriage, by the way. These tradcons who care so much about having a family and getting married.
Marriage is something that needs to be gatekept. What do you mean? Marriage is a holy sacrament. It is an institution established by God. It is a divine covenant between man and woman. It is not just a piece of paper that says, oh, well, now I'm going to be committed to you, and then if we decide that we're not going to be committed anymore, we're just going to break up, and then, you get half my stuff or whatever. That's not what marriage is. Marriage is a holy sacrament, a lifelong partnership that cannot be broken. So if anything should be gatekept, yes, it should be marriage. It should be the holy sacraments that get gatekept, but he doesn't even believe in God, so that's another problem we'll get to later.
It shows that this dude really has virtually no principles also. Stale SJW content, go look at my channel. You can literally just look at it to see that that's incorrect.
Well, your whole thing now is being a leftist and trying to learn how to debate conservatives and take tips from Vosh and other people like that, right? Like now you're pro-transsexual, pro-gay. Well, you speak out against racism and everything that leftists do. You basically are the epitome of an SJW now, right? You just use edgy, perverse sexual humor. That doesn't mean anything. You are still a typical liberal. So this is one of Hunter's old videos, How to Be a Liberal. This is the type of content he did before he himself was a leftist.
I'm running for president.
Do you have what it takes to be a whiny pansy? Do you have what it takes to be a total hypocrite? Do you have what it takes to be offended by everything? Hi, my name's John, except when I identify as a Tom. And I'm a male, except when I identify as a female, except when I identify as a gender fluid.
This makes me want to be a leftist. If leftist is whatever the opposite of this is, then that is what I want to be. This is horrible.
Human, except when I identify as a toucan.
Maybe that's what happened with him. Maybe the whole him talking to Vosh and turning into a leftist is just complete nonsense. I think that what happened was he went back and looked at his old videos and just blue-pilled himself and turned himself into a liberal.
Here we have a young man spreading his legs out in a comfortable fashion. If a woman walked in, she could be uncomfortable.
So I was just fast forwarding through this and I thought that this was going to be an example of a liberal or something, but this is supposed to be an example of a transphobic conservative guy. And bro, man, bro, what are these genes? First of all, what is happening here? There is never a reason for a guy to wear ripped jeans. Unless you were I don't know, saving a baby from a fire or something like that, and your pants caught on fire and now you have a rip in it, but then you should never wear those jeans ever again. This guy went to the store and purposely bought jeans that already had rips in them for the style. This is just, no, this is unacceptable. I would rather be me at my fattest when I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now than this horrible body. See, this is why I'm pro bullying, and I don't mean bullying in the idea of just attacking people who are defenseless for no reason and hurting people or whatever, but I mean bullying in the sense of creating an atmosphere of shame and ridicule when people do things that are really gay. That builds character and that makes people not want to be ridiculed anymore. So then they change their ways, right? So I mean, I think that if Hunter was bullied more, or if he just had a stronger father figure, this screen wouldn't be possible.
Atheist? Yeah, that actually proves you're smart, not dumb, buddy boy. I don't need like a book of fables. I don't need to scroll through Aesop's fables to remind me that fucking gay.
All right, so I'm gonna autistically eviscerate that retarded point real quick, but first I'm gonna go Marco Rubio mode real quick, and let's dispel with this fiction that atheism just means that you lack belief. That's something I hear all the time from atheists. It's like atheism isn't a belief structure; it's the lack of belief, it's the absence of belief. And it's like, no, you have to have a strong conviction that there is no God. You have to actively believe that there is nothing. Because if you were unaware or open to the possibility that there might be a God, but you just don't know, then you would be agnostic, which is also another cop out. But this idea that atheism is just a lack of belief is completely nonsense. And as for being an atheist automatically makes you smarter, that's obviously not true whatsoever, besides the fact that there's zero correlation to show that atheism somehow corresponds with IQ or something along those lines. In fact, the only correlation that you could show would be that faith actually makes you smarter, because every single significant inventor, leader, anybody who contributed a lot to civilizational progress has been somebody of faith. And it's only within the last 100 or so years that atheists have made any type of significant impact to the world whatsoever. But there's zero correlation either way. You can have extremely smart atheists or really dumb atheists. You could have extremely smart Christians and really dumb Christians. There is no correlation between the two. And even if there was some type of correlation between intelligence and being an atheist or something like that, it is completely irrelevant, because what he's doing right now is putting unjust value on intelligence. There is nothing intrinsically virtuous about intelligence in and of itself. You know, you get like these IQ nationalists or whatever who put intelligence like above everything, which is, it's just absolutely ridiculous, because there is no correlation between intelligence and morality, or intelligence and wherewithal, intelligence and willing to be able to do something or use that intelligence for the good of mankind. Some of the smartest people in the world have been some of the most evil people in the world. Think of all the people that built the atom bomb, right? All of these secular atheists that built the atom bomb that could basically destroy the world. Or who's really, really smart? Ed Kemper. He has like a 142 or 144 IQ. He's considered a genius, one of the smartest people in America. You know what Ed Kemper is famous for? He decapitated his mother and defiled her head. So intelligence doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you a person who is going to accomplish anything. There is nothing of value in intelligence as a quality of itself. It needs other compounding factors on top of it for it to matter.
So then, driving a minivan. Again, first and foremost, a minivan is usually an indicator that you have a family, which I do, and I have a minivan for that very purpose. I use it every day almost to drive my kids to daycare. So, what do you mean?
See, this is another completely disingenuous thing, and he's going to prove himself in a couple of seconds, where he brings up exactly why Nicholas Fuentes keeps talking about the minivan. It's because he made this ridiculously cringe post a couple of years ago when he got his minivan, talking about he's dunking on the alt-right, and while they wish that they could have my life or whatever, I'm buying a new luxury minivan. It was just a really, really cringe post. It has nothing to do with the minivan itself. It has to do with him talking about getting a minivan as if it is a dunk on the alt-right, and that he is so much better than everybody because he has a family and all this stuff. So he's just being completely disingenuous. Like, why is Nick obsessed with my minivan? It's because it gets under your skin like it is right now. Your loose, melted candle skin.
Because Nick Fuentes is obsessed with my minivan. Like, maybe it's because he feels insecure because he's mini in certain other areas or something, but like, the dude is fucking obsessed with it.
See, they have like this Talmudic phallic obsession where they have to relate everything to male genitalia. And it's not even homosexual at this point. It's like beyond that. I think if you were talking to a gay guy, they'd be like, all right, you don't got to talk about dicks that much. Like, I don't understand what it is. Like, they always, the drunken peasants do this too every time they talk about me too. They're like, oh, you want to have sex with Nick Fuentes because you're a fan of his. And it's like they always have to revert to something perversely sexual or talk about dicks. It's really, really bizarre.
And it all started because of this post now from, this was 2020, right? And all the comments are negative too, just because, you know, I don't know why buying a minivan triggers everyone. But, yeah, I said, while the traditional alt-right have been fuming over my very existence, I just bought a new luxury Chrysler minivan for my family, living the trad life while they live the mad life. One of my favorite slogans, as you can see. All the comments are like, you're a loser. It's like, okay, guess you don't really care that much about trad values.
Bro.
You're only a trad con when you can shit on gay people with that card, right? Is that it?
Is this real life right now? Like, he keeps saying this like, oh, well, I'm living the trad life and you're just jealous because I'm living the values that you espouse to have. And it's like, no, dude, no, you're not at all whatsoever. First of all, besides the way that you happened, the way that your family happened and came into existence is not traditional by any sense of the word whatsoever. You had premarital sex, then you got her pregnant and you didn't leave her or abort the baby. Kudos to you, I guess. But that has nothing to do with traditionalism. Traditionalism is about what you value, what you're teaching, the traditional order of the family. The traditional order of the family is that the father leads the household and obviously follows God, right? It's Christ, then it's the father, and then underneath the father is the wife, and the wife is supposed to comfort, nurture, love the husband and kids, and take care of the house and things like that, and then underneath are the children. That is the traditional structure of the Christian family tree, right? So it's not about just having babies or getting married in civil court or whatever it is that you did. That's not what traditional values are. That's not being trad just because you have babies or whatever. Then if that was the case, then every single welfare person who has babies just because they get a higher welfare check would be living the trad life. Having babies doesn't automatically make you traditional. Literally anybody could do that, but it takes discipline to not have premarital sex, to save yourself from marriage, to build a family the right and correct way, and to devote yourself to your wife and to your family. That is what takes courage and what being a man is about. And honestly, you're not, I mean, I don't know how you're raising your children, but if your content is any indication of how you're raising your family, then you are not fulfilling your duties as a man, which is to be the protector, provider, and disciplinarian, because you are not providing the correct information to them, because you are providing liberal values that transsexuality is normal, that women should be able to vote and be in the workforce, and that there's no difference between men and women, and that homosexuality is okay, and all of these things that go against God. And then also you don't even believe in God, so you're an atheist, which is just another fundamental flaw that goes completely against traditionalism. And if you're not providing them with that correct information, then you're not protecting them from the real world, or preparing them for the real world, I should say, for when they go out in the real world. And now they're going to have the values that you imposed on them, because a child is basically just a reflection of their parents, basically, growing up. It depends how their parents raised them. If they gave them too much freedom, or if they were too strict, what values they imposed on them. How the child turns out is 99% of the time a result of the parents. So if you are not providing the correct information, then you are not protecting them for when they grow up and they go out into the world. And now that they have all these values and had this childhood, they're not ready to do the right thing in the eyes of God, because you did not prepare them correctly. And disciplinarian, how are you disciplining them if basically all sin is okay in your book? Right? Like, what, they're just going to be vaguely kind people? So you in no meaningful way are living any type of traditional life whatsoever.
So here I am being a massive Chad, and this led to Nick Fuentes ranting for like 5 goddamn minutes.
Polish American Groite versus.
Hold on. About how triggered he was that I got a minivan. Skinny fat guy copes. That's the thumbnail too. I appreciate that one. Again, this video by definition is a cope, because all I did is post an Instagram picture, and now your God, Lord, and...
All I did was post an Instagram picture? No, dude, that's not all you did. You posted that with the intention of dunking on people who disagree with you politically in order to get a reaction. And then when people give you that reaction, which you must have expected, then you say, oh, they're coping. It's like your whole thing is projection and being disingenuous, man.
Yeah, I saw that post. Somebody sent it to me in a group chat. And he said, in the caption it says, just got a luxury Chrysler minivan. And it's like, that is an economy. That is an economy minivan. You know, that would be like getting...
Oh, shit.
Like
I'm wrecked. I just got wrecked, guys. He called me out.
It's funny because you can see that he thinks that what Nick is saying is funny, but he's also bothered. But he's also trying not to act like he thinks it's funny and also act like he's not bothered. So he's trying to make a joke out of it and trying to like pick little things apart about it, but it's just failing miserably.
What do I have? It's a Chrysler Town and Country.
Also, Chryslers suck, right? I have a Chrysler, and it is the worst car that I've ever had. I have 2 cars, by the way, and one of them is an actual minivan, but it's for my wife, and which is cringe because I shouldn't give my wife driving privileges, I know, but it's just in case, like when I'm at work and she needs to take the kids somewhere or whatever, but that'll hopefully change soon. But anyway, so I have a minivan. I would never brag about how awesome my minivan is for my wife, but the Chrysler I have that I use for work is the worst car brand ever. Before I had my Chrysler, I had a Buick and a Honda. Both of them never gave me any problems, right? And this Chrysler that I got, which was like my first new car, and it was in like a Super Bowl ad and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, or whatever. Every 6 months, it gives me a problem. All right? And people say that it's just like American cars or something. I had a Ford for a little while, and the Ford was fine. But the Chrysler is the worst thing. I have to get new brakes like every year. Something happened last month where I had to spend $900 to get something with the engine, some like switch or something came off. And as soon as I got that fixed, a week later, now the brake lights come on again. It's like every single time that I fix something on this car, something else happens. I will never get a Chrysler or an American car ever again. And I don't know anything about cars, but I just know that Chryslers are terrible. It looks cool and it has like nice leather seats and stuff, and the screen with the GPS and the Bluetooth and all that stuff, but it is just a horrible car that does nothing but gives me problems. It is unreliable. I hate Chryslers. Why am I talking about Chrysler? Oh, he got a Chrysler minivan. So if you're talking about this luxury minivan, it's a Chrysler. Chryslers suck.
I'm gonna just keep calling it a luxury minivan just because it pisses him off. 3, it is very luxurious. Okay, it's got some leather seats. So
Bruh, why do you talk so feminine, man? Like, somebody's had to have told you this, and I'm not trying to be needlessly mean, but you have like this high pitched voice and you're overly flamboyant or whatever, right? And if you're not gay, that's fine, whatever. You got a wife and kids and stuff like that, but like you like use these like hand gestures all the time that are very like, I don't know, flamboyant, and like you talk like, oh, and then like I did this and it's very luxurious and has leather seats. Like, it's just, bro, like you're not looking good in this video at all. And I mean, I know that like all of your right-wing viewers have basically stopped watching you, so now all of your audience are probably like teenage transsexual people or whatever. So I don't know, maybe they like you, but you need somebody to like tell you like, dude, you gotta fix your life, bro. You gotta convert to Catholicism. You gotta stop being like this. Like, it's not a good look. You're not acting like a man. You gotta just toughen up, dude. I think this is like, maybe this is not a popular opinion, but I really do think that like you need to be punched in the face a couple of times in your life. And I'm not saying this to be tough or that like you should go around fighting people and stuff like that, but I've noticed that a lot of people who have never been in physical altercations are very feminine and weak, and will often say things that they wouldn't say, or they would think twice about saying if they've been punched in the face before, because being in fights like changes you, because it makes you realize that there are physical consequences to things that you say and the way that you act. And I'm not saying that you should just go out and get into a fight or whatever, but if you're having this problem where you're overly feminine, maybe you should just like ask your friend to punch you in the face or something like that. I don't know. I think that might help you. That'd be like, oh, that sucks. I need to man up. You know, maybe it'll just knock a screw loose or something.
again, this is a testament to how he doesn't care about the fact that I'm living out traditional values, because he doesn't have
Living out traditional values, bro. You're fulfilling your duties as a man. You're basically in a lesbian relationship. The relationship that you are in right now is basically the same exact equivalent to being in a lesbian relationship, because you have both people that are females. Like, you can't even imagine a scenario where you don't have to be validated by your wife. Your wife clearly bosses you around. You have these liberal feminine values and qualities about you. So you saying that you're traditional is just, no, you're basically a woman who's married to another woman, raising kids. That is not a traditional family structure. You need a mother and a father.
You had both of your kids out of wedlock,
So what? I still have a family. You've never even been in a relationship, Booger Nick.
Saying like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I had premarital sex and maybe I had babies out of wedlock, but hey, at least I still have a family. That's like saying, like, yeah, my house has cockroaches and the roof fell off and there's constantly fires and people are breaking in and it's a horrible neighborhood and I'm constantly getting robbed and I can't pay my mortgage. But hey, at least I still own a house. Like, okay, maybe you own a house, maybe you physically have a house, but you don't have a home. You don't have the factors that historically make that house a home, because you have no real control or function in that home. Same with your family. If you are not guiding your family towards God and you are not the man in your relationship and you are not doing what you are supposed to do, then you saying you have a family is the equivalent of an animal just procreating with somebody. That there's no inherent value in that.
I don't even know if they were
This
dating.
is-
I think he just knocked her up.
We lived together, Nick. God, you're stupid. But it's okay, because this is why it's so fucking cringy
You were
when people are
cohabitating.
like digging
You
up.
know what's funny? He's an atheist, right? But even when I was an atheist or agnostic at the time, I guess, I didn't live with my wife until I was at least civilly married with her. And then we got civilly married, and then I converted to Catholicism. We both converted to Catholicism, and then we got married in the eyes of the church. We had to actually get married, and actually we had to go to confession before we got married and confess to cohabitating, because even though we were civilly married, living together without being married in the church is still a sin, because you're not really married unless you're married in the church. But it's just funny that even when I wasn't faithful, that I still waited until I was technically civically married to move in with my wife. I tell my wife that all the time too. I'm like, oh babe, we're gonna be married almost a year soon, and she's like, what are you talking about? We've been married almost 5 years. And I'm like, not in the eyes of God. That's all that matters.
It worked out. We got back together. Does anybody obsess over someone else's breakup to this extent? Are you just mad that you didn't hit my wife up when she was single for a little bit?
This is like peak projection too, because he's saying that Nick is obsessing over his personal life when he's shown a couple of Telegram posts that he made one after the other and a clip from like 2 years ago, and he's saying that he's obsessing about Nick Fuentes. Meanwhile, he's doing a 30-minute reaction video to all this stuff. It's like, I feel like this dude just has no self-awareness. I guess like nobody calls him out in a legitimate way, because they're always just making fun of him and mocking his appearance and his stupid views and stuff like that. But like, I feel like somebody just has to like have a serious sit down with him and be like, dude, what are you doing? You're just like, it's like he has a humiliation fetish or something like that, because this is just embarrassing.
He's had small things with e-girls. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe every now and then Nick Fuentes is jerked off on Omegle with some high school chicks watching. Yeah, I don't count that as a very traditional relationship. Meanwhile, I'm living the trad life, and you're living the degen life, Nick.
Bro, he's everything he's saying is so dumb. Like Nick Fuentes is living the trad life technically, because he is waiting until marriage to have sex, right? You are not living the trad life by cohabitating with a girl and then having premarital sex and knocking her up. That is not traditional at all. And there is no value. Like they put so much value on things that don't have value by themselves. It's like they think that if you have sex with girls, that makes you like awesome or something like that. It doesn't at all. It's not cool. It's actually gross, and it's not even impressive anymore. Like, there used to be a time before all this like hookup culture and stuff like that, where there was like a certain skill set where you had to be a little charismatic and know how to talk to girls to actually get with them. But now because of how messed up our culture is, where girls are just willing to have sex with anybody, and there's just apps where you can just swipe and get a match and go hook up with any random girl, it is not impressive to hook up with girls anymore. It's just not. Like, I have these 40-year-old coworkers who are always talking about all these girls that they're getting and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, that's gross. Don't you want to like settle down and like actually like have a family and a wife and stuff like that, instead of like constantly getting with these degenerate girls? Like, it's who are you impressing? Who are you doing it for? It's just so stupid. And that's one tip I would give to Hunter and all these people, is like, stop putting value on singular things that need other compounding factors to actually give them value. And you know what they do? They especially atheists like him. I didn't even do this when I was an atheist, but like, they put, it's not that they have no faith. It's that they have no faith in God, but they replace God with other things like money, or usually it's like science. Usually they put a supernatural virtue on to science, where it's not even really science, it's scientism. Because they'll, like, Hunter Avallone is a perfect example. He used to be against transsexuals and homosexuals and stuff like that, but then I guess Vosh showed him some statistic and he was like, oh, well, I guess the science says that it's perfectly normal to mutilate your genitals, so now I gotta agree with the science. And that's what they do too. They, like, whatever the mainstream science says, that becomes their new faith. But of course, it's cherry-picked science. It's only science that's approved by the American regime and corporations and whatever woke media wants to tell you the science is. They're never gonna go along with like historical, like, race-based science or anything like that, or pre-1960s anthropology. You know, they're never going to go with any type of science that contradicts what the modern science says. You know, like, oh, well, homosexuality actually used to be declared a mental illness, but, you know, in the 1980s, they did a protest and got it removed, so now they're not mentally ill anymore. Like, it's just so, okay, that's how the science works. It's so stupid. And actually, it's not even like comparable to Catholicism, because with Catholicism, at least for me, I conform my worldview to Catholicism. Like, I don't try to manipulate Catholicism to fit into my worldview. If I believe something and it turns out to contradict something that the Catholic Church teaches, then I have to change my worldview. I can't expect the church to change, right? But what they do is that they have a worldview, and then they find science that justifies or validates their worldview. And really, all it is mental gymnastics to manipulate yourself into justifying your degenerate and disordered desires and normalizing them and making it so you don't have to feel any type of guilt for your sins. It's actually quite sad. See, at least when I was an atheist, I was just like, nothing matters. I don't care if I die, blah, blah. My thing was like, oh, well, there's no God, so there's no morality, so nothing is wrong or right. Everything is subjective. These people go, no, well, the science says that this is okay. You know, it's really gay.
But it's actually really funny because he's a fascist, so he is actually obsessed to a large degree with the idea of order. So because things went out of order for him, his brain is just like breaking constantly. He's just melting down. It's really, really funny. And it shows that he hasn't been in a relationship before too, because he doesn't understand that, like, you can have a rough patch and then amend those differences and then be engaged and then talk about, like, maybe we'd be okay with having another kid sometime. Maybe we're okay with, like, kind of having a surprise second kid. We literally talked about this.
We're okay.
That is pretty traditional for the...
Oh my gosh, dude. I'm not even trying to pause it on these funny faces, honestly. It just happens. See, he shouldn't be reacting at all, like I said, but, like, he shouldn't be justifying the wrong thing. Like, he just basically admitted that the way that things went in his life were not the way that they should have went. But instead of saying that and saying, like, yeah, we made a mistake and we tried to do the best we could with that mistake or whatever, and we ended up working out, he's trying to basically justify that, like, it's okay that we didn't do it the right way because it still worked out anyway. No, you should be saying, like, yeah, we shouldn't have done it that way, and we had to face a lot of consequences and go through a lot of struggle, but we knew that we had to do the right thing and make it work, something along those lines. Like, he just doesn't think that what he did was wrong at all. And that's the difference between somebody who, basically between Christians and non-Christians, is that everybody is a sinner. Everybody does wrong things, but a real Christian does not justify their wrongdoings. They know that they're sinners and they try to work past it. You know, like, even technically, like I said, I wasn't I didn't live with my wife until we were civically married. Now, according to society, that is a good thing or whatever. But according to my faith, we were still cohabitating because we weren't technically married. But I'm not going to justify saying that, oh, well, we weren't really cohabitating because we were already civically married. No, it doesn't work like that. It was still wrong what we did, and once I became Catholic and found that out, I did the right thing and fixed my wrongdoings. But this guy is just justifying everything.
These ad homs, dude. It shows that he has nothing left. He literally sounds like a crying.
Okay, so this is the video that Hunter Avallone is reacting to, and this was uploaded on October 26th, 2020, a year and a half ago. So this guy is saying all this stuff like he has nothing, he can't judge me about anything, blah, 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 but he's reacting to a video that is 16 months old.
I always hear that whenever people are trying to flex on groypers, who are mostly like teenagers and young 20-somethings, whenever people, invariably,
So what?
when people flex on the
Wait, if you're a teenager or young 20-something preaching white nationalist neo-Nazi beliefs, who cares? Why are you bringing that up?
The point that he's making is that the vast majority of his audience are teenagers or early 20s. They're not necessarily at the point of getting married and having kids. I mean, ideally that would be a great time to do that, but most people are not in a position when they're teenagers or in their early 20s to get married. They're just getting established in life. They're probably in college or graduating from college, getting their first job, things like that. So what he's saying is that by people criticizing them that they're incels and they can't get girls and stuff like that and trying to dunk on them, meanwhile, but they're dunking on teenagers who are not at that point in their life, and they're being dunked on by people like you who are doing things in a completely disordered, degenerate manner. That's why it is hypocritical. This is honestly exhausting. I totally understand why people don't really take Hunter Avallone seriously and just, make fun of his appearance and just, mock him and stuff like that, because these people just argue in bad faith. They are disingenuous. They just call you the same tired names and use the same tired talking points over and over again. These people should just be in jail, honestly. They should just be forcefully oppressed and not really talked to. So I completely get that now, but I feel like it's just Hunter Avallone. Nobody really takes him seriously. Nobody critiques anything he says. They just mock him. So, but yeah, this might have been a mistake.
2 kids out of wedlock, shotgun marriage, and then you bought an economy model minivan. Well, groypers stay jealous.
Have you ever seen someone just cope, seethe, and dilate for 3 minutes straight?
This is a huge problem with leftists, and nobody talks about it enough. It's the appropriation of right-wing slang terms, I guess you could say. Like when I hear people like Vosh and Destiny's getting a little bit better though, I heard, but like people like this that are left-wing people and they start using traditionally right-wing online words like based and red-pilled and cope-seethe, dilate, all this stuff. I understand how like the Native Americans feel or black people feel when they see white people wearing dreadlocks, even though that's a Viking thing and technically black people stole that from white people. Nevertheless, but I understand the cultural appropriation. It is cultural appropriation when these people start using our terminology, and it needs to stop. It's real that is the epidemic. It's the epidemic of these left-wing retards using our language and trying to appropriate it to their worldview, and it just does not work. Left-wing people cannot be based. Based is obviously taking from Lil B the Based God or whatever, and it basically means to be yourself, your authentic self, regardless of how society sees you. You tell the truth regardless of what people think about you. You are authentic, right? You are based. Obviously now it's just basically synonymous with epic. Now we overuse it so much, but you cannot be authentically truthful as a left-wing person because you agree with the entire system and American regime that are perpetuating the New World Order. So you cannot be this edgy based person or red-pilled on anything. Red-pilled is being aware of uncomfortable truths, of seeing reality for what it is. And you clearly do not. You guys think that men can just become women by mutilating their genitals and injecting themselves with hormones. They think that homosexuality isn't a health risk or degenerate or disordered. They think that women should have voting and driving rights. So no, they cannot be based. They cannot be red-pilled. And it really is. It is an epidemic of leftists appropriating our culture. That's the real epidemic. The 3 real epidemics currently happening right now is 1, heresy, naturally. 2, the cultural appropriation of our language. And 3, white people marrying Asians. Yellow fever. That's yellow fever is the real pandemic.
I can never be a baller like that. I can never just knock up.
Oh yeah, I can never just knock up. Yeah, I know you can't, Nick, because you're a fucking incel. Women hate you. You're a disgusting cretin that thinks they shouldn't vote.
Yeah. Do you think women should vote? Do you think that is that's like an own? You think women shouldn't vote? Yes, absolutely. I don't think anybody should vote, but especially women. It's actually really gross that you think that they should be able to vote or drive and not be in their house barefoot with a chain around their ankle with just enough slack to reach from the bedroom to the kitchen.
You literally think that women should be reduced to a baby-making machine, barefoot and pregnant, nonstop. She's the
I swear, I didn't know he was gonna say that.
submissive little waifu that does whatever the husband says.
Yes.
And that's it. That's what you want, Nick.
You want women to do what God designed them to do? Wow, what an incel. See, he wants to pretend like he's living the trad life and try and dunk on people that actually have traditional values or whatever, but he's not ready for what traditionalism actually is. He's not ready for the conversation of what that means in terms of order and hierarchy and some people actually being like oppressed and all this stuff. Like he doesn't want any part of traditionalism. He thinks women are completely equal to men. He believes in like universal suffrage and all this gay stuff. Probably likes democracy and whatever. Definitely not a Catholic monarchist.
I'm just sitting around seething and fuming. I could never just knock up some local floozy at the bar and.
Wow, again shows his lack of knowledge. Aside the fact that
It wasn't a bar, it was a club, okay? Shows your lack of knowledge, Nick. That's like in The Hangover when they're like, your girlfriend cheated on you with a bellhop. And he's like, he wasn't a bellhop, he was a bartender.
floozy at the bar, me and my wife met at church, Nick.
Doing what? You met at church. Why were you in a church if you're an atheist? Was it like an STD support group in the basement of a church or something?
Hunter, why aren't you as funny as Nick? Because you're immature and you think that humor equals just saying something that's super edgy so that you can be desensitized to these actually real world harmful ideas.
Oh my gosh.
Because, like, you have been brainwashed to think that humor is just being edgy.
That's literally that left-wing meme. Yeah, look, the left can't meme.
Sorry, we're too busy educating ourselves, doing research, and sharing facts.
Because you're immature and you think that humor equals just saying something that's super edgy
Edgy?
so that you can be desensitized
you're
to these
immature?
actually real world harmful ideas.
Real world harmful ideas.
Love to
Because
see
we're
it.
just doing research and having real world conversations.
Wreck.
Look how mad he is too. Look at that face. Look, I'm trying. I'm failing miserably, but I'm trying not to just attack him needlessly. But it is so easy. It's such low hanging fruit though. But look how mad he is. Is this the face of somebody who looks like he's just having fun, just reacting to something silly, and he's not taking it really serious or anything like that?
This comes to the final question. Of course, people are going to wonder, Hunter, debate Nick. Chad face? No. And this is why.
First, he reached out to me way back when I was still conservative and said that said that he wanted to debate. And I remember at the time I was kind of confused because I wasn't really aware of like the far right and then the like center right, and I wasn't really as aware of the fight that was brewing between those types of people. So I was kind of confused. So I was like, maybe. And that just started the cycle from the Hunter Avallone agreed to debate. Hunter Avallone now pulled out of the debate because I was like, I don't know what this guy wants to debate. Then someone else hit me up and was like, yo, this dude's just a clout chaser. All he does is try to get on other people's platform to get attention. This is when I was still a pretty big right-wing figure too. So I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do it then. Forget it. Time goes by. I believe I asked him if he'd be interested in debating me and someone else, and he could bring someone else on also, so it'd be a 2v2. And they didn't want to do it because all the other Nazis were too scared to associate with each other. And now it's come to the point where he throws a lot of insults, but he does have decent rhetoric, and he is well-versed in misinformation. So to have this guy on would require a lot of preparation that I'm not sure I want to put in that level of effort to this fucking loser. Like, he's at this point pretty irrelevant. He has no major platform. He's no longer on YouTube. He's no longer on Twitch. He's not on Twitter. He's not on Instagram. Like,
All right, this is just the biggest disingenuous cope I've ever seen in my entire life. He's completely misrepresenting the whole entire fact of what happened. He agreed to debate Nick Fuentes years ago and then kept switching the dates and pulling out and stuff like that. And Nick gained in popularity while his popularity went completely down. I think on Nick's stream a couple of days ago, when he was reviewing Hunter Avallone's review of the iceberg thing, he showed the Google trending thing or whatever, and Hunter Avallone got like not even 5% of the searches that Nick Fuentes got or whatever. So the whole idea of him being still relevant now and that Nick is just a clout chaser is absolutely ridiculous. The relevance is not even comparable. As I showed before, he has over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube and gets less than 20,000 views on each of his videos. Most of his videos don't even reach 10,000 views. So this idea that he doesn't want to debate him because he doesn't want to give relevance to Nick Fuentes, it would be actually the opposite. He would be giving you more views. Nick Fuentes got more views than Vosh did of Nick watching a Vosh debate. So this idea that, oh, well, he's not on any of the mainstream platforms and that just makes him irrelevant is completely nonsense, especially when he has a much more larger audience than you and a more active audience than you. So this is all just trying to justify why you're afraid to debate him. And then also you were like, oh, well, I said I'll debate him if he brings another person, but that other person didn't want to go because these Nazis don't want to associate with each other. Completely nonsense. John Doyle, which is the person that you specifically requested, John Doyle has associated with Nick Fuentes and has mentioned him by name numerous times. They did a speech together during the Stop the Steal stuff. That's complete nonsense. Nick Fuentes wanted to debate you one-on-one like you previously agreed to, and you continuously backed out. So that's also just not true. And everything you're saying is just you trying to reason of why you won't debate him. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't debate people. I don't know if I'd be good at it. That's not what I do. I don't know if that. I think debating, regardless of what your political or religious ideology is, I think debating in general actually takes like a skill set that I'm not really sure I have because I haven't really debated many people like live or whatever. So that's not something that I am like trying to do. But you, on the other hand, have said that you are constantly trying to improve your debating skills and that you want to debate more and more diverse types of people and try to gain that skill set of debating people. And you have debated with numerous people, most of them who are far less popular than you in subscribers. And you've debated people of all different types of political ideologies, but you are clearly specifically afraid to debate Nick Fuentes, and then you're using the excuse that it's because he is well versed in misinformation. I don't want to put that effort in trying to prove him wrong and blah blah blah. It's like you're not making your case look good. Like, it would be one thing, as I said, if you were like, oh, I'm not a debater, I don't debate anybody or whatever, but you literally, that's like what you do. You go out of your way to debate different types of people, but then this is the one person you won't. And then you use the common excuse, oh, well, he's a Nazi and he's really good at his rhetoric that I don't want to put the effort in to try and disprove him. It's just not a good look.
Second of all, at this point, it would literally just be back to me giving my platform to the dude. Why?
You don't have a
Why
platform,
waste my
though.
time? Just like
your platform
he's
is
well
so much
versed in
smaller.
information, but he repeats the exact same brain dead dipshit talking points that every single virgin groiper fuck spiels on about. Like, he's just better spoken than they are, and that's it. The ideas are all the same. I can debate any average groiper and get the same general understanding of Nick Fuentes' beliefs, and I can skip the overwhelming amount of preparation I'd have to do.
So you want to debate somebody who has the same ideas as Nick but can't articulate them as well, because that's how you can dunk on somebody, because you only want to debate people that are less articulate than you, that you know that you can win in a debate just because you're better spoken than them. That's not something you should be doing to hone your debate skills, bro. Like, oh, I'll debate some of his fans who might not know all of the points that I'm going to make, or might not have all the retorts that Nick would have or whatever, but they basically have the same ideas, so then I'll just debate them. Like, dude, that is such a cop-out. Well, that was extremely exhausting and definitely not worth doing at all. I ended up, I think, having to do 2 hours of this. I did 1 hour, and then I went upstairs for a little while, changed my shirt, came back down, and did the other half of the video. And I gotta tell you, that was super exhausting, very repetitive, and it made me dislike Hunter Avallone as a person. And like I don't watch his content, obviously. I knew basically what his stance was on a lot of things, and I knew that he was basically just turned into a leftist. And I found that his transitioning in political ideology has definitely very interesting because it's pretty unique. But he is just insufferable, and and I really, the only opinion I had on him was that he was kind of gay for turning from a boomer tier conservative to a leftist. But coming out of watching that video, it just shows that he is very disingenuous. He cannot make cohesive arguments. He's not very intelligent or articulate. He seems to never admit to any type of wrongdoing and instead justifies it, and doesn't see anything wrong with anything he's done. And, he's made that information public. So it's not like we're criticizing him on information that he is trying to hide. He's made this information public and then bragged about this stuff and then tried to use it to dunk on people who he politically disagrees with. Meanwhile, it's completely degenerate and nothing to be proud of. I'm talking obviously about the premarital sex and stuff like that. He uses the same typical meaningless pejoratives and slurs against any right-wing people, neo-Nazi, racist, all that stuff, and puts himself out there, but then is not willing to debate with the person he's critiquing. Also, the entire video just shows that he has no self-awareness whatsoever because he is saying how obsessed somebody is with him, but he is doing a 30-minute rant about this guy and then goes to a video that he made over a year ago to try to justify his current position, and then attacks him for not knowing the specific details of his relationship, but then says a bunch of stuff that is just blatantly false in the next breath. So he's just obviously a hypocrite, not self-aware, and it's sad. I think him and his family would benefit from a heavy dose of Catholicism, and I think that he should focus on becoming a man and raising his family. I don't even know how old he is, but I'm guessing mid to late 20s. I think he needs to learn how to be a man. I think he needs to take control of his relationship, and start leading his children towards God, and also stop associating with people like Vosh. Especially if you're going to try to call other people like pedophiles and stuff when you're friends with Vosh. And also maybe just like take a look at old pictures of yourself to maybe inspire you to get back to that look, and maybe realize there's some type of correlation between your political ideology and worldview and your physiognomy. Don't wear the clothes that you used to wear because you look like a 14-year-old emo kid, but definitely look at your facial structure and how the deterioration of your facial structure directly correlates with you going further and further left on the political spectrum. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this video because I did not enjoy making it at all. This was a mistake. But yeah, thanks for watching.